Well, it's about that time, and a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans are asking themselves the same question right now. What are the next steps for the Dallas Cowboys? Are they actually going to make a trade for a Jaylen Ramsey? We have an update on that, and we're going to take a look at what needs to happen next for the Dallas Cowboys to have a successful season this upcoming year. Let's get right into it, and be sure to subscribe for more Dallas Cowboys content just like this. Shut your up. All right, first things first, let's get an update on the Jaylen Ramsey trade saga. I'm going to go ahead and say this off rip. I don't think the Cowboys actually go out and trade for Jaylen Ramsey, and we actually have a couple of updates that I want to cover since the last time we discussed this, but I think the Cowboys are actually going to go a much more selectively aggressive route, sticking with the theme of this offseason. I don't think that they're done yet, because I do think that this Cowboys team, this particular regime, wants to make sure that they have all of their bases covered and they have more than enough players at each position to compete and craft this team in the image that Brian Schottenheimer wants it to be crafted in, okay? So I'm going to say this. Jaylen Ramsey, I think, is an extremely long shot unless something major happens, like the Miami Dolphins willing to take up over 50% of that $24 million that he has guaranteed this season. I just don't see it happen for the Cowboys. I think it can happen financially, and I don't know if it would be the best use of the rest of their resources, especially considering the Cowboys have 2 or 3 holes that I really feel like they need to figure out how to fill before the season starts, so everyone can kind of go into the season feeling like the Cowboys have a fighting chance in any and every matchup that they may play against, right? But Jaylen Ramsey, here's the latest update. My guy Landon Holyfield actually said he can confirm Jaylen Ramsey bought a house in Fort Worth within the last couple of weeks. He cannot confirm who the house is for or if the Cowboys are seriously considering trading for him. Now, I will say this. I don't think that the Cowboys are trading for him. I don't think that him buying a house in Fort Worth is related to any type of Cowboys trade. And guys, I know that your guys' first inclination is to doubt us, especially with independent media sources, YouTubers, independent freelance writers, that type of thing. You guys like to doubt us, but make no mistake about it, especially those of us that have managed to actually kind of make some waves. Best believe there's people in our DMs all the time, verified people, that talk to us about stuff that's happening in the DFW. They may tip us off on something that's going on up at the Star. They may tip us off on some information that they may know about. So trust me, guys like Landon, they're not just coming out here just saying this stuff for no reason. I'm willing to bet a real estate agent or someone involved with that real estate agency probably tipped him off as it pertains to Jaylen Ramsey. So I'm just going to say that. Now, to kind of backdoor this real quick and put out any fires before they get started, Bryan Broaddus is reporting. I'm going to say this, man. Bryan Broaddus, I think that he's being honest right here, and I think he's being legit. And I think whoever source he's talking to, I don't think they're leading him astray. Bryan Broaddus says, hearing late last night that the Jaylen Ramsey news was not accurate, according to a couple of folks I got to talk to. I don't think I was getting steered the wrong way. And he went on to say that essentially sometimes Jerry and the Cowboys, their names get shoehorned into stuff just for the purpose of engagement. And we all know that. So we can't just assume that Jerry or Steven planted these stories or anything like that every single time. We can't assume the most insidious thing possible every single time something happens. But Bryan Broaddus is putting out the flames of these fires and dumping a bucket of cold water over it, but not before giving us a little bit of hope as it pertains to more moves being made. Bryan Broaddus also said in response to a fan, he did somewhat of a Q&A on his page. He also said that if the right guy gets cut, he doesn't think that the Cowboys are done. Now, the positions that Bryan Broaddus feels like are going to take priority as it pertains to the Cowboys looking to add is cornerback and defensive tackle. Those are the 2 positions I think most of us have all tabbed as maybe some worrisome positions based off of maybe the level of experience that we have there, the level of depth, or just the level of skill that's available at those positions. And I think that goes right along with the Dallas Cowboys' next step. I think for the most part, the Cowboys have done an excellent job of supplementing this roster, but they do have a couple of more positions they need to address before they can really feel good going into the season. Now, if you actually take a look at this, the Dallas Cowboys starting offense, I can roll with this. Now, I could easily see if someone like a Nick Chubb were to be a June 1st cut, or if a worthy running back were to end up being a cap casualty, maybe a Breece Hall or someone like that, I could easily see the Cowboys trying to upgrade that running back position. But right now, the offense is fine. Dak Prescott, you got Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, Jaden Blue. That trio of running backs right there. Running back, you got CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Jalen Tolbert is your top 3 receivers. You got Jake Ferguson, Hunter Lepke, Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, Tyler Booker, and Terrence Steele is your starting offensive linemen. So I like the mixture of guys we got right there. And I don't think that you're going to find anybody, realistically, I don't think that anybody's going to get cut post-June 1st outside of maybe a running back. I don't think anyone gets cut post-June 1st that the Cowboys are just going to leap out of their seats for. Unless it's like a Nick Chubb or a Breece Hall or someone like that. I'm telling y'all, I think the Cowboys are done on the offensive side of the ball. Now, the defensive side of the ball is a completely different situation. There are so many question marks, so many unknowns, so many, quote unquote, we need these guys to perform type of situations at different positions on defense, where I could easily see the Cowboys going out and getting one of those more trusted veterans that maybe get cut, that's going into their last contract or two in the NFL. They're going into their last couple of seasons in the NFL, and they bring a guy in that's still hungry, kind of still has that desire to really want to play, still has a passion for the game. I think it's going to be the first requirement is whoever gets cut, that veteran is still going to have to be one of those very high intensity, high passion guys. So those would be the guys I would be looking out for come June 1st, are the guys that are willing to run through a brick wall still right now, regardless of what phase of their career they're in. Those are the guys I think Brian Schottenheimer and this Cowboys team are going to want to go get. I don't think they're going to go get any guys that have any questions about how much they still love the game. So that would be the first type of kind of prerequisite for a guy that I think the Cowboys will try to go out and get post June 1st. But I could easily see the Cowboys trying to address the middle of that defensive line. I could easily see them trying to address that cornerback position, because again, Trevon Diggs and Savon Revel will be coming off of injuries. It won't just be Diggs. Savon will be coming off an injury as well for the first time. So we have to allow him some room to kind of get comfortable with his body again and the mechanics of his body. So we can't just assume he's going to come in being a lockdown. Now, we do also have Kyer Elam that's on that left cornerback side, and we have Deron Bland on that right corner side. So Kyer Elam is going to be someone that's leaned on heavily. But do you want to, as a Cowboys front office, do you want to depend on that, or do you want to bring another veteran in that very young cornerback room? Now, you got Savon Revel, Kalen Carson, Josh Butler, Deron Bland, Kyer Elam. All these guys are super young. Trevon Diggs is also a younger guy, and he's not necessarily a guy that you look at for, I don't think that the type of leadership, as far as like a veteran leadership, bringing along young guys, especially when he's trying to get his own body right now, I don't think that's fair to expect him to even be able to do right now. So do you bring a veteran corner in that gets cut post June 1st? I'm still keeping my eye on Jair Alexander. The Packers have not been able to move him. It's very possible they could end up cutting a guy like a Jair Alexander, and instead of going for a Jaylen Ramsey type, you could see a Jair Alexander pop up into play for the Cowboys, and that would be more of a selectively aggressive move, because he would cost probably about 50% of what Jaylen Ramsey costs right now, right? So I can easily see them adding to the corner room. I can easily see them going out and getting a DJ Reed or another inside defensive lineman, because do you really trust the combination of Mazi Smith and Jay Toya? I don't know if you trust that combination of Mazi, who is still not shown yet that he can be a consistent starting quality defensive tackle, and a young 7th-round rookie in Jay Toya. As much as we all love Jay Toya, as much as we all love him, it's not fair to heap the expectations that he's going to be the guy that provides that stability and anchor the middle of the defensive line if Mazi Smith can't do it. I think that defensive tackle is 100% the position that we should look out for as far as the Cowboys going out and supplementing. I think that's probably the only position that the Cowboys don't necessarily feel all that good about as it pertains to their football team right now. I think cornerback, defensive tackle are absolutely the next steps. Outside of that, it's deciding who's going to be your starters. On the offensive side of the ball, you're trying to figure out who's going to be the running back, who's going to be the running back that's going to lead your team. Here's what Brian Schottenheimer had to say about the running back room. Quote, "It's too early to tell. I think last year we went into it thinking it's going to be by committee, and then at the end of the year we changed that. I think it's really early. We want these guys to compete. The thing we know about Javonte and Miles, they've been there, they've done that. They've both had very successful seasons. They have a little bit of a head start because they've been here since the start of phase 1. So they're a little bit ahead of Phil and Jaden. But when you look at what you see from Jaden and you see from Phil, you see it's going to be a really fun offseason, a fun training camp. But again, I think I've said this in here before. You're not going to find out much about running backs watching them compete in shorts. It's not how the game is played, so we won't really know. I think the number is we're 68 days away from our first training camp padded practice, and so it's one that you have optimism, but you also don't get too far ahead of yourself when you're talking about the running back position. I'd be remiss for not talking about Hunter Lepke. He's a guy that he's playing some one back for us. He's playing some fullback. He's playing some tight end. All he does is do everything well. So that's another thing to keep an eye out for. What role does Hunter Lepke get solidified in? That's part of the next step, is solidifying the role and the mission and the goal of each player on this team. I think that was something that was missing last season, is that direction and letting guys know, hey, this is exactly what I need for you, and really drawing very clear, bright lines so guys can kind of fall within. I think that's the next step for this offense, is really determining roles and solidifying who's going to be where and who's doing what. And the defense, I think, is solidifying who's going to be your starters. Like damn near across the board, who's going to be your starters, who's going to be your starting linebacker crew, who's going to be your starting safeties, who's going to be your starting corners to start day one of the season. That's going to be the attention and focus of the Dallas Cowboys, because quite frankly, there's a ton of question marks, especially on the defensive side of the ball. There's a ton of question marks as to where guys are going to be lined up. So that's the next step for the Cowboys, is take all these offseason programs and figure out who are their guys that they have earmarked to be the starters in place in each of those positions. And once you identify who those starters are, did you displace anybody that still has value that you can then flip for a draft pick or some cap relief, whatever it may be? Did you displace anybody? Did a young guy, did a Wanye, did any of these young guys step up and displace a Donovan Wilson, a Malik Hooker, or any of these older guys, a Mozzie Smith even? Did any of these guys become expendable? Those are the next steps. Those are the next questions for the Cowboys. And I think that as far as roster construction, I think the only thing else that we really have to look out for as Cowboys fans is the defense. I think the defense is something that's going to be tweaked just a little bit. Are we going to add an all-pro? Don't think so. Are we going to add a veteran that's going to add more stability and more confidence to that unit? I do think so, and I think that's what we're going to keep an eye on, and those are the next steps for the Dallas Cowboys. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think are the next steps, and I'll see you guys on the next one. How about them Cowboys?
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boys? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Oh, shut up, my boy. Hey! I'm still them boys.